Good morning. This is Darryl. If I'm not sure, hopefully you guys can see the screen and not looking at a video of my ugly mug. But what I did this morning, first of all, thanks for joining us. What I did was I just went through one of my training decks that I had gotten from VA, and it basically just gives the information, some of the income information. And instead of going into a long, expansive thing, I decided just to break it up into sections because hopefully this won't be the only time that we were visiting with each other. Within my agenda, what I wanted to touch on is these quick 5 topics: grossing up income, rental income, self-employment, income from commissions, and military income. And each one of these topics have come up in VA loans that I've done, that I've underwritten to this point. So that's why I kind of figure I picked these out of the topics that I had to choose from. Now, keep in mind that some of the information here, I wouldn't say it's going to be really dated, but there could have been some changes recently. And I guarantee you that if there are any changes and whatnot, that we will abide by them and not any historical information. But again, I wanted to use information I got directly from VA to begin these VA training sessions. The first thing is we're talking about is grossing up. Now, of course, this stands true with all. Whenever you're grossing up, only taxable, non-taxable income can be grossed up. Tax tables should be used to determine the percentage, meaning whether it's 15%, 25%, and those things. And again, as that information changes, I will update you, but we will go with the standard amounts that all of us are used to with our experience. Now, veterans receiving only non-taxable income, again, we will refer to the tax table to make sure that the income was not taxable, but it's usually a 15% gross up. Okay, now, this is a quick little knowledge test that I had taken, and I was like, you know what, this kind of, it really helped us out. Okay, if the borrower rents out their property, because we're on to rental income, rents out their property 10 months before purchasing a new property with a VA loan, can we consider that income? Now, this scenario literally came up for me, so I thought that this was a good thing to point out. The answer is no. This would not be included in effective income because it must be a minimum of 12 months. In our business, we always look for case by case type of scenarios and looking for exceptions. I haven't been able to get any exceptions on VA loans. So as I tell you this information, I don't want to say it's in stone, but it's kind of like in stone. So again, if the borrower rents out their property 10 months before purchasing a new property with a VA loan, that income has to be in effect for 12 months in order for us to use it. Okay, now, as far as rental income goes, here's an analysis. Rental income as effective income, of course, this is what we all know and love. It's 75% of rents collected on the units or the appraisals, or 75% of the appraiser's opinion of the property, fair monthly rental, which is a 1007, the market rent schedule. Rental of property occupied prior to a new loan, required documentation, again, is a rental agreement, of course, and the information on the current current market rents, which is the 1007. Okay, multi-units, I don't know why this popped up like that, but multi-unit property securing a VA loan, the required documentation is evidence of cash reserves totaling at least 6 months mortgage payments, PITI, and prior experience managing rental units or a background involving property maintenance and rental. So again, for the new borrowers, purchasing a multi-unit, in order to use that income as effective income, we must have prior experience managing rental units or a background involving property maintenance and rental. And then, of course, you have to have the cash reserves. Okay. Now, rental of property occupied prior to the new loan. Again, this is pretty redundant, but I did want to make sure that we continue to say this, is that obviously you're going to need the rental agreement, but we're always going to want to see the market rent schedule. Whereas on conventional loans and what have you, we're able to get away with a lease and proof of them receiving the income. For the VA loan, they really want to see, especially if it's a subject property, they want to see the 1007. So when ordering appraisals, we always want to order the rent, the market rent schedule. We haven't run into any situation on the VA loan where we had the income set at a higher amount than the market rent, but just keeping in mind that is going to be a factor. Now, as an analysis, prospective rental income can only be used to offset the mortgage payment on the rental property. Now, this is something that stands true with Freddie Mac loans as well. The rental income cannot be included in effective income, but it can only be used to offset the mortgage payment. So you won't get any extra income, just to offset the mortgage payment. Rental of other property not securing a VA loan. Required documentation is evidence of cash reserves totaling at least 3 months mortgage payments. Individual tax returns with applicable schedules for previous years showing rental income generated, just Schedule E. The analysis is if the income is stable and reliable, it can be used as effective income. Depreciation claimed as a deduction on tax returns may be included in the effective income. We use a rental income sheet. A lot of us, you guys have them from different mortgage companies. I have one in category. Do still come in play when for properties. In rental properties. Now, it is self-employed. Doc supply, obviously, is C's, E's, 1120s, K1s, N65, etc. So any type of, there's no different. Okay, you know what? I don't have it. Let me put it on. Okay, so now I have it on my collar, so hopefully that's better. Okay, so like I was saying, typical self-employment income docs do apply. The stability of at least 2 years, unless obviously the applicant has previous related employment or specialized training. With this being VA loans, a lot of times the borrowers will have experience in their military background, which correlates to what the new job is, and that can be used as experience or quote unquote specialized training. So, their military experience does count. Less than 1 year will be scrutinized for a conclusion of stable and reliable income. Again, that less than 1 year, it's really going to depend on what the background is, and that, previous related employment or specialized training is really going to come into play. Now, on self-employed income, depreciation and depletion claimed as a deduction on the tax returns may be included in the effective income. Again, that's standard with all the other agency income calculations, but I did want to point that out. Okay, now I will tell you that mileage depreciation on a Schedule C borrower for VA income is something that has not been allowed. I know that it's come up on a few FHA loans recently, but mileage on VA loans, they do not, that income is not allowed, or claiming those mileage for income offset is not allowed. Meals and entertainment is not considered a deduction, of course. I think it's like 24A or on your Schedule C. That's not a deduction. All right, so I know I'm moving through quite a few topics, but these are all income related. Now, this next one, commission income, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but commission income, in viewing that, you can really utilize the same mindset when dealing with, with income that's based on production and even overtime. Now, of course, the best way to do it with commission income is to get a VOE. And a work number VOE, those are the ones that stand the test of time even more so. But a VOE obviously is what you want to do. And it should show the actual commissions paid year to date and the basis for the payment, which is, what do they get paid? Do they get salary plus commission, straight commission, draws against commissions, or what have you? Now, this is where if you do a work number VOE, we will ask for an LOE to explain the basis for payment. Now, obviously, on a work number VOE, if it shows a salary and then commission, then we're going to be fine. But if it has something like other, and that other section really needs to be defined, and that's where you're going to show, well, that it could be a draw against commission or something like that, and it could be the offset of what they have left after paying back their draws against commissions. So I know that was I just said a mouthful, but just keep in mind, the basic thing to keep in mind, guys, is when we get a VOE and it has a section that says other, please instinctually know that that's going to need explanation. Of course, we're going to need to know when commissions are paid, and that's going to be told in the basis for payment. But some commissions are paid monthly, some quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. Now, knowing that really is not going to change the calculation because we use based on a year-to-date figure, and the previous years. But if in fact they're paid at the end of the year and we're in the mid-year, so we wouldn't have anything, for instance, for 2023, if we had identified that, what their annual commissions are, we can do an average. Okay, so providing they've been there 2 years plus. That's, if they're under 2 years, that type of income calculation is not always going to be allowed. All right. Now, obviously, when doing, commission-based income and things of that nature, we do want the individual tax returns plus all schedules for the previous 2 years. Some commissions are paid as 1099, where it's not taxed, and people file them as a Schedule C. Some commissions are taxed. It just really depends. I think of car salesmen, furniture salesmen, any type of commission-based sales job, depending on really the size of the company, is going to depend on how they handle the commissions. So just keep in mind, guys, that, especially if it's a 1099 borrower, we are going to need those tax returns. Of course, this is what I was just speaking of, needs to show a stability of 2 years unless the applicant has previous related employment or specialized training. Now, again, get into specialized training, as to, what they did in the military and things of that nature. On a personal note, I know a guy who was in the military and now he does arms training. He does, he has where he sells and teaches, guns and stuff. So his specialized training previous to doing that would allow him to utilize that income, providing he's been doing it for a period of at least 1 year. But we do show some specialized training. So, when you talk about a commission or a sales-based, a job, you can still factor in, previous military, with our borrowers, if we can bring any type of correlation, and it's all in the explanation as well. So, we'll work together to put together the best possible way to explain that. Now, here's my final topic. Okay, it's military income. Now, try to make this, because anybody who's looked at those LESs, those earning statements, they are pretty intimidating. So I try to break it down here to kind of demystify that a little bit. But at any time when you have those, if you're struggling to figure out, how to calculate it, send it in, and your operational partner will either they'll calculate it, or give you an idea, or they'll come to me. But just to know what your opportunities are with military income, it's always analyzed as your base pay, which is considered as stable and reliable. Your military quarters allowance, I think that's identified as BAH. It's non-taxable and it can be grossed up. Subsistence and clothing allowances. Now, I don't know, subsistence, I can't really give you a definition of that, but obviously clothing allowances, they are non-taxable. Now, other allowances such as pro pay, flight or hazard pay, overseas pay, and combat pay. Now, these are all fall under a taxable income category and cannot be grossed up. Keep in mind that they have to continue also for at least 12 months to be considered in the income calculations. The reason why is, for instance, pro pay and flight pay requires verification, qualifications, certifications, and this income is passed on based on a periodic review and/or testing to determine eligibility. So that's probably why, in VA calculations, those are not grossed up, because they're not, they can end, so to speak. Whether the veteran decides to go in a different category, go a different way for employment, or if in fact it has their service has ended. But nevertheless, of the things that can be grossed up, look at your housing and your clothing allowances. They can be grossed up. Now, keep in mind that VA doesn't really hinge on debt ratios. So grossing up income, really and truly, if I'm trying to mitigate some risk layers where I can show more income, then I'm going to look to gross things up. And it's all about mitigating any type of, when I say risk layers, just say if you have anything in that loan that is slightly weak or less than desirable, then I want to have something strong to pivot that against. So if my if my work history was kind of slight, my debt ratio is good, my income is an offset, I'm going to use that as a compensating factor. So just keep in mind when you guys are analyzing the files, and if you see something that's weak, automatically, try to look for and point out, not that we won't see it ourselves, but point out what you feel is a compensating factor. From an income aspect, grossing up the income, when we have income that we are not using to qualify, that's in any agency, that's always going to be a compensating factor. So I just wanted to make sure that I threw that out there. Uh-oh, didn't want to show you that. Well, anyway, but no, that's, essentially, that was a quick, like I said, income 101 based on what we can use with VA. And I'm going to, we're going to do this, Darshan and I, we're committed to doing these pretty regularly. And each time I'm just going to grab a group of questions or information that's going to be born from, actual files that we deal with, or not just that, but, potential areas that we can go to, or, that we can utilize to get even more business. Now, what I would welcome you guys to do is to, if you have any questions or concerns or any ideas based on what I was just talking about, send me an email. And when you can send it to me individually, and then I will share the answer with everyone. We'll get into a situation where we'll do some Q&A, but when it comes to VA, because a lot of the stuff is changing, it's very evolutional. So when you have a question, I'm going to test it up against current guidelines and updates that we may have. But there's no such thing as a bad question, and I encourage you guys so that we can embrace this line of business, because a VA loan is probably one of the most fulfilling loans that we can do in doing these loans for our veterans. And, VA does support them and does give us a lot of flexibility that we wouldn't necessarily have on an FHA loan or even a conventional loan, because VA really wants to help and protect our veterans. So, all right, I took about 25 minutes of your time this morning. I didn't want to take a whole lot, but again, guys, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hold on. Sonia is here, and Sonia has a question. So let's go ahead and let me see what, if it's one that we can answer.
Sonia doesn't have a question.
I just want to know to everyone, if they have a question about what they learned today. Do they have any questions that they want to go deeper right now?
Yeah, I know. That's what I covered with them sending me an email. But if anyone has, what Sonia was saying was she wanted to know, she wanted to make sure that I shared with you, if any of you had any questions about what we would discuss right now that you wanted to speak on immediately, then, by all means, you can ask. And, the floor is yours. Otherwise, like I said, if you send me an email, I'll be able to build a knowledge base and start frequently asked questions type of resource base as well, because we are going to be ramping up our intranet. And one of the key things that I want to do is put for all underwriting lines, not just VA, but FHA, conventional, and all of that, to keep everyone updated with frequently asked questions. So, does anyone have any questions? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. And hopefully,
Sorry, I do have a question. I was trying to type fast enough before you close out. Does the VA provide any type of material for marketing?
That's a good question. I don't think that VA specifically provides, but we can certainly get you some, without a doubt, Veronica. And I'll make sure Darshan is right here, and he's just made a note of that, and we will definitely get some out.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I'll type my email address in the text box.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there something specific you're looking for, Veronica? Are you looking just for a generic, hey, we do VA and these are the benefits? Or are you looking for something to drill down further? Is there a specific target market that you're going after? Are you going after clients? Are you going after a realtor? That way we can put something together for you.
So my husband is a veteran that has a lot of access to the veteran community. He's a commander for a nonprofit organization, and we would like to have some type of marketing material to reach out to them on an ongoing basis to create awareness.
Okay. So what I'll do, I'm going to go ahead and put some flyers together for you, and then I will call you separately to see if you need something to drill down further or target a specific audience further, so we can kind of make something around what you need.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Does anyone else have any question for Mr. King?
All right. Well, you guys know my email is dking, as DKING, at iCoreLending.com. Please don't hesitate. I do have the opportunity and pleasure of communicating with a lot of you on email. Some of you I may have not before, but I welcome all questions and communications. And like I said, there's no such thing as an improper, question when it comes to securing loans with our potential borrowers. I personally understand how important it is to be able to get that information back to our borrowers while they are interested, because time is our enemy when it comes to securing new business and continuing business, because everybody's out here for the same borrowers. But if we have them with iCore, we can keep them here. So I'll do all I can to help you guys. Give you every advantage I most possibly can. So please do reach out and communicate with me.
I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next Tuesday.